And welcome to today's virtual wine tasting. We got a fantastic event lined up here. All the way from Israel, we have Amar'e Stoudemire, who will be presenting his wines. We got Josh Greenstein from the IWPA. As always, he will keep you entertained and be asking the questions and hosting today's event.
What's up, Amar'e? Good afternoon, good evening. How are you? Great to see you. That young looking dude you got going on. You look so young and good, like the rookie of the year all over again. Well, I just want to thank you for joining us and coming on. I know everything's been crazy around the world, but something that just brings everyone together in good harmony and good peace is nothing better than a good glass of wine. And I think we're all here to hear Amar'e's great story on how he got into the wine business and how he got into Israel and how he's been in Israel and what he's been doing over there. So I'm going to throw it over to Amar'e. What's up, Amar'e? Good afternoon.
So yeah, I was in New York, and I was started to get involved in these wines. And when Josh brought the attention to me, I wanted to somewhat learn more about the opportunity of having my own wine. And it happened coincidentally where I was already starting to migrate to Israel. I was learning Torah for maybe 5 years prior to this moment. And so when the opportunity for me to somewhat become partial owner of a team in Jerusalem, I became a part owner of that team. And then I traveled to Israel, and then I happened to retire from the NBA, and I moved to Israel. In the midst of this time, Josh and I was feeling very good communication about starting our own wine. And so once I got to Israel, I met with the winery, went through the different tasting and blends. We had a strategic game plan on how to create like the Stoudemire wine brand. And from there, we started to work. I went to the winery there. We picked the grapes. We harvested them. We chose the blends. And it took me about a good 7 months or so to figure out the actual the labels for the bottles. But that's how it all started.
It's amazing also to see, like you mentioned before, about how wine has just been important throughout your life. And you've obviously been in the NBA and transitioned from the NBA to Israeli basketball and now in the wine business. Can you talk a little bit about during the seasons of playing basketball, maybe how wine was impactful with your teammates, your family, and your friends before you got into business?
But yeah, you know what? My chef and I were very good friends. We actually wrote a cookbook together, and we got invited to travel around the world. We went to France, we went to London, we went to obviously places inside of France, and we did a lot of tasting. And in the NBA culture, a lot of the coaches and also the players were started to get involved in wine. So we go out to dinner, we have conversations about the game and about, our teammates and so forth. We drink wine and have dinner. And so it became something that was natural for us to really get involved in. And I felt like with the opportunity of connecting with the winery in Israel and having a kosher wine would be the most beneficial for myself, being that I'm a man of Torah, and I wanted to definitely connect with the kosher situation. So that's how it all started.
And so you're talking about like how important wine is. What does the word wine mean to you and the importance of it is in your culture and what you're doing with it?
Well, wine is an ancient deal. It's something that is used for celebratory reasons. It connects all cultures and people from around the world. It allows you to have a nice, balanced conversation and also enjoy, a prestigious drink. And this is very imperative for like for business, for celebrations. And obviously for Shabbos and Kiddush, it's always important to have wine and kosher wine for that. So it is a very, very intriguing opportunity. And for me, I was like, this is a no-brainer for myself, and I was able to really, really get involved.
And I know the importance of family to you, and you mentioned Shabbos, and you mentioned that. I know you got one of your sons living in Israel with you now. Can you talk about the importance of raising a Jewish family and bringing in the Shabbos with them? I know that's very important to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. My son is with me now in Jerusalem. He was actually, in Tel Aviv. He spent Shabbos in Jerusalem with a friend of mine, a rabbi there. He had a good time with his family and friends. Unfortunately, I can't travel much because of the rules with the quarantine, and we're, as a team, starting back to play now in our league. But the importance of keeping Shabbos is very important for my family. Obviously, Kiddush and having wine is one of the main ingredients of a Shabbos Kiddush, of the Shabbos dinner. You think about Pesach with the Seder, wine is a very, very important element to the actual Seder. And so it's a beautiful opportunity to provide this, to have our family wine at the table for Shabbos and for Pesach. It's a beautiful opportunity for us.
And it's not just the importance of the wine, it's also the importance of the fact that I think it's from Israel means so much to you also, that it's that you got to go back and make this wine in Israel. And something, I've been to Israel with you once before, and just to see the way that the Israelis and the crowd of people react to you being there. Can you talk a little bit about how just going to Israel and the love that you've received being over there?
I mean, it always goes back to the Kiddush Hashem, right? It's always giving back to and sanctifying, God's name. And so for me to be able to create a wine in Israel and be able to add somewhat of a celebrity and like a intriguing factor to kosher wine. Kosher wine hasn't been known as like a very well-tasting wine. It hasn't been like the best, from a respect standpoint around the world, as far as a wine that most people are sought out or looking to buy. So I wanted to create this atmosphere. I wanted to create this intrigue factor to where, even secular people can say, hey, you know what? I want a great bottle of wine and it's kosher. I want pop culture to understand how good kosher wine is. And so this is why I wanted to go back to Israel and try to add an extra, intriguing factor to kosher wines.
And for those of you who have followed your career and know that you've lived in Florida, you lived in New York, and now you lived in Israel, the way that I look at it, you're like a real old school Jewish yenta. You've done New York, you've done Florida, and you've done Israel now. So you're just, you're fitting into the whole scene. Are you planning on coming back here anytime soon?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to, once the season's over here in Israel, which I think is around early August, I'm going to fly back to Miami and spend time there with the family there for a few months or so, and then eventually come back to Israel. I have a farm up where you are now, Joshua, upstate New York. I have a Kosher Stoudemire Farms there, so I'm going to travel up to New York, spend time at the farms, meet the people there, and so I'll spend time in the States for sure before I come back to Israel.
That's awesome. And you're looking forward to coming back and doing your thing here. I know you were planning on playing in the Big Three now also, but I think that got canceled. So it sounds like you're going to focus a little more on your learning, your Torah, your wine, and your farm, which sounds like a fun little day right there to me.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice, man. For me, I enjoy farming. I enjoy the outdoors. I enjoy living naturally off the land. Having wine is always a great situation, right? You can really enjoy that, obviously. And then learning Torah, like that's basically what I do on a consistent basis, and that's who I am.
And I've also seen, for those of you who follow you on social media, you post a lot of pictures of art. I know that art means something to you, and you have a lot of cool art pictures that you're posting. Can you talk a little bit about maybe how art plays a role in your life also?
Yeah, man. Art is something I actually grew to love. I think I was 21 years old when a friend of mine gave me my first, it was a birthday present. And it was a massive painting of of the portrait of myself, actually. And it was very beautiful. I loved it. And I began to become more acquainted with art. I moved to New York. I was hanging out with Swiss Beats, hanging out with Carmelo, hanging out with other artists. And we all somewhat grew into this art space. I started meeting the artists, shaking their hands, providing opportunity for them to become more known. And I was going to all the art galleries and art shows and art basels. And it became something that was amazing for me. So yeah, art is a very, very important part of my life.
You got fun hobbies, that's what I think. If you all during these times when we're all stuck at home and have nothing to do, and we got all these fun hobbies to research and do cool things, it keeps us busy, keeps our mind fresh and working. And something also cool, I know when we spoke originally about the wine business, you went around Israel and you tasted a bunch of different wines, and you wind up working with Tulip Wine at the end of the day. And for those of you, I'm sure everyone on this knows what Tulip Winery is, but it's Kfar Tikva, Village of Hope, and it's working with a lot of special needs people. Can you talk a little bit about that, Amar'e, and how going up there and working with that winery?
Yeah, it's amazing to see how, a winery can provide opportunities and jobs and a fun atmosphere for special needs, and so for me to be a part of that and being able to have that charity, that tzedakah that I can give back to that community, allow them to work, enjoy working, give them hope and opportunity, along with making a kosher wine. It was a great fit for myself. And so, I go up there pretty often. And so they enjoy working there, man. I mean, it's a lot of fun. We play basketball together. We have a good time. It's a great atmosphere.
And I'm going to throw it over to David real quick at Kosherwine.com, who's joining us also. David's sitting in Bayonne, New Jersey, home of Royal Wine, and he's got the wines in front of him. I just wanted him to hold up the 3 bottles that he has in front of him real quick, just so everyone can see what we have over there. So we came out with 3 bottles originally, Amar'e. And I know also you spent a lot of time on not just the blend, but also the labels and the artwork too. It's something that, like you said, it's not something that just came together overnight.
No. Take a look at it, man. If you really look at the bottles and the label with an in-depth look, I wanted to create something vintage for the start of my family. I wanted something that will last forever. And so I have a buddy of mine, David Zimmerman, who I worked with in Phoenix, Arizona, back when I played in Phoenix with the Phoenix Suns. He's been one of my brand strategy guys for over 15, 17, 18 years to be exact. And so for him to create these labels, it took months and months and months of idea and font and print, the size, the wording, but it worked out for the best. It looks great.
Awesome. Yeah, those 3 labels came a long way. We got those 3. We got the one with the this one, and we got the reserve as well. Talk about how much food plays a role in your life also, especially keeping a healthy diet and keeping in shape. I know you're in the best shape ever right now. How important is good food and health?
You know what? Tonight's roast Kodesh, man. So Kodesh Tov. So I have my Kavulsa over and friends over tonight. We're gonna our minhag is steak, wine, and cigars. No cigars now because I'm back playing. But yeah, we're gonna enjoy this tonight. But food is a big deal for us, man. I think anytime you can have a nice meal and pair it with a nice glass of wine, it's like the ultimate combination.
And have you seen yourself drinking more wine and slowly getting into more wine as you've been in the wine business? You're trying new things?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I try many different types of wine. Side of my wines is what I try to drink often, especially when I have friends over or guests. I want to introduce them to like the kosher wine business and with start of my wines. But yeah, I mean, there's so many great wines out there that you can definitely taste for sure.
And there's so many of us that remember that crazy picture of Amar'e sitting in that bathtub of wine. And a lot of people have that memory of Amar'e with that wine bath. Can you tell, there's a couple people texting me privately on the call right now. Can you tell them what that was all about and what that I was actually doing?
You know, I got a gift, man, for my birthday, actually, to go to this spa. And this spa offered a wine bath. And so I went there for the wine bath. I sat down. It's like a massive tub, like a massive hot tub. It's half wine, half water. It's about 90 to 105 degrees. And they bring you a nice glass of ice water. They bring you a nice glass of wine. And you sit there and relax. And I was relaxing and I was playing great at the time in New York. And so when I took this selfie photo, it became something that was like a phenomenon. Everyone's like, oh, Amar'e's playing great because of the wine bath. And I was like, hey, the wine bath was great for me. I enjoyed it, so it became something big time.
That's awesome. And another person just shot me a quick text that they wanted that time that we went up to Tulip and you were working with the people on the line, and you were working with the people and actually bottling the bottles. Can you just talk about, for just 2 more seconds maybe, about how working with those people, you saw the smiles on their face and the impact of having a job and getting paid for it, what it really means to them up there?
Yeah, you know what? It gives them so much hope. It provides such a lifestyle where they can look forward to. It lets them know that no one really forgot about them. It lets them know that we care about them. And that's something I think Tulip is doing an amazing job with in the winery there, is that they are being taken care of. It's like, and so it's beautiful for me to be a part of that because I'm also given to that matter. So it works hand in hand.
So what else is new for Amar'e? So now what's going on with the season over there now? Explain to us a little bit about basketball and after Corona.
Wow, bro. Right now we're back playing. We played our first game last night. Last night. It was an easy win for us because we're starting to slowly get back into the swing of things. So we played a pretty easy game. We have another game on Thursday, but yeah, coronavirus is still very active. In Israel, we're doing well. Everything's open. Everyone can go out to the beaches. You can enjoy life. But for us as players, because we want to protect the league, we're being somewhat under restraint. So we can't go no more than 100 meters. We can go to friends' houses, like a teammate house. We can walk our dog. We can't go shopping, and we have to wear a mask, which I have my mask, my Maccabi Tel Aviv mask here, actually. We can wear our mask, and we can also, and we have to keep a 3-meter distance from the next person.
And how has that affected you getting back into shape, or you've always been doing your thing in the meantime?
Oh man, you know me, brother. I stay in shape. I have no time to slack off the training. Being a guy who played 18. This is my 18th season.
Maybe let's talk about the cab a little bit. We talked a lot about the connection with Tulip. Obviously, they're making fantastic wines. We looked at some of the wines. Maybe some of the tasting notes. Why you chose that cab? Why you love that cab? What people could look forward to in tasting the wine? What kind? Obviously. The name is there, the brand is there, the connection, the story behind, the Tulip Winery is there. There's so much great things going on for it. Let's hear a little bit about what's in the bottle.
And Amar'e, I'm just reminding you, this one's the 100% Cabernet. This is the Stoudemire Reserve from the Galilee. This is the one that's like 6 months in French oak, just to remind you.
Yeah. So the 100% Cab is something when I was doing my tasting, it was because it was in the barrel for X amount of time. It tasted perfect. I didn't want to change it. So I wanted to go with the 100% Cab. With the Jerusalem bottle, with the private collection, I went 70% Cab Sauvignon. I went 15% Merlot. And I went 16% Cabernet Franc. And I also went 5% Petit Verdot. So I did a nice combination of like the formula, the big dog.
And then the middle one from Amar'e is the Grand Reserve, which is the 50% Cabernet and the 50% Petit Verdot. Listen, let's be honest. When a lot of people taste these wines, that from me, when I was talking to people about, listen, Amar'e's making some wine, guys, and it's going to be, people were like, what do you mean Amar'e's making? I say, guys, listen, we can all make wine, but once you taste it, you'll understand. And I'm telling you, I've seen Amar'e taste a lot of samples to try to get to the right where he wanted to be. I think he nailed it with a lot of these wines.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. No, and I agree. Fantastic wines. I have them here. We've drank them before together, Josh, just about, KFWE and other places and fun times. So let's open up the floor to some questions. I know there's probably going to be a lot of questions, so one at a time. If a few people go, we'll just have to figure out how to questions. So go ahead.
Hey, Mario, how you doing? My name is Ernie. I got a question for you. So I want to know, you got your bottles in the States yet? Because I do business over here in Michigan. I got a fruit business that I do, fruit with like arrangements and stuff, and I added like a lot of wines to these. People love wine and fruit. So I want to know, do you got your wines in the States yet?
Yeah. We're in the States. You can order, if you go to Kosherwine.com, you can order them from anywhere you are in the States. But they are being sold in Miami, New York, and also
New Jersey.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, because I want to implement that into what I do. You know what I'm saying?
Aaron, if you email me message me directly, I'll give you my email.
Okay, sounds good. I got you.
Yeah.
This isn't really necessarily a wine question. I'm just a huge basketball fan in general. And I just have a quick question. How far or how good can you see Deni Avdija getting in the NBA after this upcoming draft?
It depends on how hard someone works, You have some guys who could have been amazing players, didn't work. Hey, didn't pan out. You have some guys who were not as good players and became two-time MVP. So it all depends on how someone works. I think Danny's a hard worker. From what I've seen of him training, I think he's going to be a really good professional basketball player in the NBA. He's going to have a long career. And then hopefully if he continues to grow, he can become an all-star.
This is Jerry from Central Israel. We are very keen to try your wine, and we're wondering where we can actually pick it up, a case or 5 cases, support the cause. Obviously, the special needs infrastructure is unbelievable. Where can we source your product here locally?
We're looking to get those wines into places where you can go and put those bottles up. Right now, you have to order basically online.
And if you're in Israel, you can order directly from Tulip Winery, I believe.
Just a reminder, I actually started the 401k for the NBA and spent a lot of time with you and Penny out in Phoenix. I used to live out there. But I know, when you were over here in the States, you used to do a lot on social justice. And I was just wondering if you can talk about what's it like, being black in Israel right now with all of the Black Lives Matter and all the issues that are going on as compared to being in the United States?
Well, in Israel, I think everything's fine, man. Once you submerge yourself in Torah learning, you get a sense of like clarity within every situation that's being presented. And so that's my ideal. The more I continue to work on my character traits, my midos, and the more I continue to immerse myself in Torah, I find more of a sense of balance. I can constantly keep myself immersed in Torah and learning.
Amar'e, you alluded to the reason that you were working with Tulip Winery. It sounded like they have some very special programs that are near and dear to your heart. I'm not very familiar with what they're doing. Could you take a minute to just explain what it is?
Yeah, sure. They have they work hand in hand with the special needs community there, and they allow that community to work and also get paid while working there. It gives them opportunities to feel like they are very appreciated. It gives them a chance to work and make some income, and it gives them a sense of joy that a guy like myself who played in the NBA can go there and enjoy life with them as well and give them a sense of happiness. So they do an amazing job with the community there. It's been a lot of fun for me.
I just walked into the hospital a few years ago, and I was getting hand surgery, and I saw a big Amar'e Stoudemire jersey hanging in the doctor's. I think it was Dr. Carlson. I don't know if that's the doctor you used when you accidentally punched the fire extinguisher or whatever it was after a tough loss in the playoffs. And then last week I went to a knee surgeon and I had a procedure done on my knee. And again, I see a big Amar'e jersey in the waiting room. So I just want to know how all your injuries are doing, how you're feeling playing in Israel now. And if you could just get a little background about what got you into winemaking initially. You may have missed that in the beginning. And just, how big do you think this business can be for you, and how many different, varietals do you think you'll be putting out?
Well, I think for one, my body's feeling great. Baruch Hashem, I feel healthy. I try to keep myself in top shape. I train and weight train as much as I can to make sure I keep and maintain health. So I've been able to prolong my career from that matter. And with Stoudemire wines, I got into the business because of my love for wines. And then it happened to connect with Israel for my love for Israel. So it worked out to be like a great combination for me. And so we're looking to produce as much wines as people can consume. So hopefully that will continue to grow and continue to prosper.
Can I ask, for someone who hasn't tried your wine before, is there a particular variety and perhaps vintage that you would recommend?
Yeah, the Jerusalem bottle, the private collection, is the most expensive one, but it's the one I put the most formula, I guess. It's mixed. It has 4 different combinations of wines that made up the private collection. That one is like probably the most tastiest one. And also the Grand Reserve. I think the Grand Reserve is a very, very, very tasty bottle as well.
But Amar'e, I know we've also had the conversation that wine's also a lot like Torah, that everyone has their different interpretation of it. Everyone may be drinking the same thing and looking at the same thing, but everyone has their own little view on the wine also, which I think is the cool part about wine, Yeah,
for sure. That's the purpose of wine, being able to have your own taste. And so what gravitates you to the bottle, to the wine, is what will intrigue you to keep drinking.
Okay, so Amar'e, what originally made you want to move to Israel?
My love for Torah. That's initially where it started. That's how it all started, man. Back when I was young, my mother always told me, she was like, keep the laws of Moses. At the time in America, in Florida, I didn't know exactly what that meant, but that put me on the path of learning. That path, eventually I was drafted to the Phoenix Suns. I continued my learning. I went to New York and met with a few Kavusas and a couple of rabbis there, continued my learning. And then I eventually went to Israel, and it brought me here. And so that's how it all began.